Hello everyone, this is Sudesh Narayan Swami. I work as a Senior Program Manager with Azure Database for MySQL. In this episode of Beginner Series, we will see the monitoring options which we have for Azure Database for MySQL. We will check why monitoring is important. We will also see the options available to monitor the database. We will take you through how we can configure audit logs and how we can access them with some interesting demos. Now let's see why monitoring is important. Being a PaaS managed service, Microsoft does monitor your database. Based on the data collected from this monitoring, it takes proactive and reactive steps to make sure your database is highly available. From a customer point of view also, monitoring is really important. You can monitor your resource utilization. You can monitor your connection and workloads. You can even monitor what is happening on your database historically. Now, monitoring all these would help you to take wise decisions in saving cost and taking decision on when to scale up, when to scale down, etc. For monitoring Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server, we do use the capabilities of Azure Monitor. We pump in data into Azure Monitor, and later, using the matrices, logs, or workbooks, we retrieve that data. We also have Resource Health Explorer, which actually shows you the information about the health of the service or health of the databases which you own. There is also activity logs which audit the actions which are happening on the databases. There's also an alert mechanism where you can go ahead and alert when certain preconditions are being met. You can even configure it using action group to send SMS or to send an email when the alert is being fired so that you can take necessary actions. Now let's quickly check on what we need to do to configure audit logs and slow query logs in Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server. First thing is, of course, to set these parameters in Server Parameters pane. Enable the auditing or slow query logs. Make sure what needs to be audited is mentioned, and also make sure what is a long query time which you would like to configure. Now, post this configuration, you would have to configure the diagnosis settings. In the diagnosis settings, you mention where you will upload this data to. There are different sources. One is Log Analytics Workspace, another is Event Hub, or you can even send to the Azure storage. Based on the configuration, the data will be uploaded or dumped to the source which we mentioned. Now, post that, depending upon where you have sent this data, you can use Azure Monitor capabilities to go ahead and access this data. Now, let's get to the demo and see the different monitoring options. In the Azure portal, if you look at the monitoring options, in the overview pane, we have a monitoring tab which actually gives you an information about the different matrices, very important matrices like CPU, memory, IO percentage, the connections, the query workload, etc. If you want to go and see specific matrices, then you will have to go to the monitoring session and you can select matrices from there and then select the matrix of your choice, like say host CPU for matter, and then see it across the time what was the utilization for that particular matrix. Now let's see what are diagnosis settings. This is where you configure, right, where to send your slow query or audit logs to. You configure in server parameters pane whether to enable, disable, or what needs to be audited or what needs to be collected. But once you would have to also select where to send this information to, and that's where this diagnosis settings plays a role. In the diagnosis settings, you can actually give the name of your diagnosis settings and then say, can configure where do you want to send it. Do you want to send it to Log Analytics? Do you want to send it to your storage account? Or do you want to send it to an Event Hub? You can select slow query logs, audit logs, or even all matrices as well to be sent to the diagnosis settings. Once you configure the diagnosis settings, the data will be sent to that particular destination which you have selected. And then you can pull that information from there. Now in logs, if you go, you can query the data which has been sent to the log analytics workspace, right? Let it be for slow queries or for audit queries. Like if you run this query, this for category slow query logs, you will get for this particular server, what are all the slow query logs which has a query time more than 10, right? In this way, you will be able to get more detailed information below, and to get what is the SQL text, how much time it took, what time it ran, etc. All this information can be queried. You can also query the audit logs in the same, if it has been sent to the log analytics workspace, by changing the category to audit logs and running that query to find the information. So this is where you would be able to run the query against Azure Diagnostics table for specific categories, and you can pull the information whatever you are looking for, right? Now moving on to workbooks. Workbooks are something which is a single canvas where you can tap in data from different data sources which is available in Azure. When I talk about data sources like Log Analytics Workspace, you can pull data from ARM queries, you can pull data from the Azure Graph queries, right? Matrices, right? A lot of other data sources which is present in Azure. So, and the good thing is that you can bring everything into one particular canvas and you view that information, right? For to make it easier for our customers, we have actually created 3 default templates, right? The first one being the overview template, which actually gives information about the server summary, databases, the connection matrices, performance matrices, storage matrices in single pane, so that you can have a quick look and identify what's happening on your server rather than adding one matrix or the other as you wish. Now going to the auditing, which is mostly to do with the auditing of your databases, right? Here the top would give you information about the administrative actions which is being done, which actually pulls information from the activity logs, right? And then you will have an audit summary about the what has been audited over that period of time, whichever you have selected, like regarding the connection audit summary, right? On the audit events, which will give you the table access summary, or I would say the trend analysis of the table access summary, which can help you to identify how your database table access is happening, or the trend analysis can be done for that. Also, it will give you information about the errors which has been identified while trying to do the auditing, right? Coming to the query performance insight, another thing which pulls data from the slow query logs. This actually gives you more information about the slow query trend, what query it is, right? And it also gives you the query text of what is being queried, and added to it, it also gives the top 5 longest queries which is running, and the summarization of the queries on which actually details you about the count. It details you about the minimum deviation, minimum query time, how many times it got executed, etc. So it's a good amount of information which you can use it and help to fine tune your queries. So this is what the performance insight does. Now let's move on and check on Resource Health Explorer. This is where it actually talks about, like, if there was a downtime onto the server by any means, it will be mentioned here. It will also talk to you about the availability and other things which is happening with the health of the resource, right? It will be brought into one single area where you can go ahead and check it. Now let's check the activity logs. The activity logs are where you will have all the administrative events which is being run on a service over a period of time. You will be able to grab those details, right? And then you would know what were the successful, who did it, whether it was a failure or a success, right? In this example, you can see I did a restart of the server 18 hours ago. There was a firewall rule which I created 18 hours ago, right? And even it can even detail you on the request details, like the correlation ID and all, which you can actually submit to the support team, which can help you to find out in case of any failure of a specific action which you performed, it has failed, why it failed, or how or what can be done. Now coming to alerts, you can either create alerts from here or using a create alert button, or you can go to specific metrics as if it is something related to the metrics, or even if it is an activity log, you can create a alert rule from there, right? Here let me take an example of a host CPU percentage, right? If I now click on this alert, it gives me the condition of the alert. When it meets a specific percentage, I can go ahead and create an alert. Let's say I'm giving an example here as 50%. If it goes above 50%, I would need to get alerted. You can set the evaluation granularity PD, the frequency of evaluation, etc. onto this. And then also you can create action groups which actually will help you to send a mail, or it will also help you to send an SMS. You can also use the same alert dashboard to view all your alerts which is coming in into the coming in the system. That brings us to the end of the demo. You can see the resources which would help you to understand in detail how we can monitor a database for MySQL. This is already available in the description below. Thank you. And if there are any further questions, feel free to write back to us on the email ID mentioned here.